This is here the updated Volvo XC60. Now a fresh development, officially the most sold Volvo of all time. Truly a bestseller here of the brand. And the question is, with this update, can the XC60 fight the competition? Because BMW X3, Mercedes GLC, Audi Q5, they are basically all newer vehicles. The base model of this one here is now quite old, but now with some changes, exterior and interior, we'll go through all of them and also drive it and then tell you all you need to know about the XC60 update with Thomas Nautical Fuel in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here with the new front, new grille, either dark design or bright design. This is the dark scheme, updated logo as well. So the dark scheme is the one that used to be the R design before, and bright would be more chrome. This is also a new vehicle color called Forest Lake, and we are at the Forest Lake here, a beautiful one at this moment in Sweden. So we picked the right scheme, right surrounding for this vehicle color then here today. And we also have 21-inch wheels here, 18 to 21, even 22 with Polestar would be possible theoretically, but these are already quite large. The length is 4.71 m or 185 inches. I mentioned the competitors already earlier. And this one is also equipped with the optional air suspension. They do offer that, and we also are driving it here today for you. Classic SUV style, more the upright styling, so not like coupe-ish and so on. That's why also Volvo customers appreciate the space you have on the inside, for example. Update here also at the rear because the tail lamps are now a little bit darker. Same like the XC90 facelift recently. And this one is here, you can see the badge, the T8 plug-in hybrid, soon more to the engines. And also rather clean design in the lower part, no fake exhaust or something like that. Always 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol engines at Volvo, either with a mild hybrid or then here in this case with the plug-in hybrid drivetrain. You either get 250 horsepower for the mild hybrid or for the plug-in hybrid. And this one is the T8 with 310 horsepower, the most powerful version, 4.9 seconds then in the acceleration, and of course also all-wheel drive. And here the charging is only 6.4 kilowatt AC, not too quick, more in the sense of putting it at home on the wall box. The battery capacity net is 14.7, so around 15 kilowatt hours. Not too large, not too small. This 18.8 figure is, by the way, the gross figure. Realistic, pure electric driving, some 60 kilometers, 40 miles, something. Now towards the interior, standard Volvo key fob. It's nothing special. Door closing sounds. Let's check it out. It's all fine. Yeah, the rear door is actually better than the front one, but both solid. Then inside of the doors, top part here is nicely structured and also somewhat soft. I also like here these chrome style door handles. Bowers & Wilkins sound system is really amazing, like that one. Then here, soft for your elbow. And the only thing is here, there's no real cover for the inside of the door. Then we have the entry sill badge. Typical Volvo floor mat as well, and already here some nice wood, matte wood Scandinavian inserts. Steering wheel material is also element free, feels really nicely. Still some real buttons, and important, just one left click here and this EU speed chime warning is deactivated. That's a cool feature. Then seats, different ones are available with the surfacing, so you get fabric seats, so-called City Weave for example, or then here the Nordico is a high-grade leatherette, also with some quilting structure here. And they are even made from recyclables plus some pine oil. That's also going full circle, and yeah, they're actually very comfortable. Headroom here with one A9 602 is fine, although this one is here the panoramic glass roof. You can still open that one here, so that's actually pretty cool. And then there's also a shade available. The only thing is I don't like this slider here that much. If you now think about the competition, by the way, so first of all here it's like the shade you can apply for really hot days, would of course also cover all the way. If you think about the competition, Volvo is always very good in the seat ergonomics. Just BMW is a little bit better as for seat ergonomics meanwhile. And also, for example, in the Mercedes GLC and in the BMW X3, you would get a high-grade leatherette which is perforated and can also be cooled. That is not then here with this seat. For 1,000 euro extra, by the way, you get here the insulation for the windows. It's a package and it's both for the front and also for the rear windows. And by the way, this color of the seat here of this Nordico leather red is called cinnamon. And now to the cockpit perspective, which is to me the highlight of this vehicle, because I mentioned maybe some things where the Germans are ahead, but here we find some things where Volvo is still ahead. For example, here the dashboard you can get here with the high-grade leather red covering and the stitching. This feels amazing, looks amazing. Also the integration here of the sound system here, the Bose & Wigan sound system. This is really lovely. I love this design detail work. For example, here also this silhouette of the Swedish flag. And also the matte wood insert here. You can hear it, how you can feel it. This is really nice. So I love this cockpit indeed. And new 11-inch infotainment system. Yes, on the one hand, it's a little bit popped out. Before it was like more integrated, but now it's larger. You can easier access things. The icons are bigger and so on. So yeah, it's maybe like a trade-off, but it looks more modern. You still have a manual volume jog in the lower part, at least this one. However, the climate unit is done here and always in this 2-click scheme. One and then, and also for the seat heating, for the steering wheel heating. It's good that we have one, but I would like to control that physically. That's counting for all the manufacturers, and especially not in 2 steps. I think if you put then the climate unit, at least make it plus minus directly accessible on the first layer. And then here, glove box, also smoothly dampened like that. Also when you close it, it's interesting that they have this very sensual scheme here from the lines. New inductive charging pad. There's a new position here in the front that the smartphone is more open and easier to access, that you don't have to squeeze it in somewhere. This also has this optional crystal glass shifting lever. You don't have to go for it. One start stop here, and then here a matte wood that looks also pretty cool. Just this segmentation here is in this vehicle here not, let's say, not that well built. Maybe it's a one-off. We have to see about the other vehicles. But the problem is that it belongs to the mechanism, that there are individual segments that you can slide it open. And then you have adaptive cup holders, 4-dot design. It's holding bottles tight as well. And then you can also, here, yeah, this maybe could be a little bit softer for your elbow. You can slide open, well built. Then you have space for your smartphone if you, especially like connection with the cable, which I usually prefer actually. And we can soon go into the infotainment details for you. Driver POV here once again with these buttons here. For example, you can change stuff in the digital instrument like map or no map view. We also have a head-up display, always hard to see on camera, it's not flickering. Then here you either have this Google Maps view, here also with a satellite view, so we're in the Swedish countryside for you here today. You also have this main menu, it's an all new system, and here for this vehicle, we know it from the other new Volvos, and also Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are possible. Vehicle controls are here. You can then also, for example, set the different driving modes, and definitely Bose & Wigan sound system. Yeah, to us, it's really the best, and especially when you set it here to the Gothenburg Concert Hall stage, that's just amazing, especially for electronic music and also for acoustic music. And after Leah and I have enjoyed something of the sound system, she can show us some more features. Here the sun visors, light integrated. Can they be extended? No, they cannot. But we have actually 4 door handles. So, and then also for the rear, a little bit dark there, but still all the way with the door handles. And the lights here in the middle are with touch.
Yes.
In the middle, right? Or is it it also works touch individually.
And here for double light.
Let there be light. Rear seating, first of all, inside of the door is also soft on the top part. That's nice, good build quality. Here also a little bit softer for the elbow, just hard back here in the lower part. But this also here, even in the lower part, has a structure to it. And then we have Isofix on the outside seats each. You can just fold them open here. Then you also have the same quilting here. Then cup holders are also somewhat adaptive with these lips. So here a small ski hedge you can open from the back part. Relatively large middle tunnel here. And you have 2 USB-C chargers in here in the rear. And you can also get seat heating for the rear. You can see here with 3 levels with a real button. That's cool. And as for the space we have here, headroom with the panoramic roof. Still works with one A9 602. Good upright seating position and also exactly fits with the knees when a tall driver is driving. Maybe I could make it a little bit upright. But overall, that's fine from the space you have here for 4 tall adults. Now to the trunk or the boot, which is 470 liters here in the plug-in hybrid version. Here the trolley fits underneath, no problem. And this cover here you can set to different levels basically. You can set this one here, then this, or you can just remove it completely. Then here, this is more than 1 meter or 40 inches, so it's a very good width of the trunk. And the length here is a little bit less than 1 meter 40 inches. Yeah, almost fits in here. And the height, also good dimensions, 29 inches or 74 centimeters. So well usable here, this trunk area. There is no remote unlock from here, but you can actually easily grab over like this. Then you can see also the head restraints. They fold automatically. It's a cool thing. Ah, there we go. And then the full length here to where we are sitting here, this is like 1 meter 75 or 69 inches. And here you can also see nice transitions, all flat, good build quality. And this is here an additional floor mat, so you can also remove that. There's also like a rubber side to it from the accessory parts, but you can of course also completely pull it out. There you can see there's an even better transition than to the rear seats. And underneath here, there's just a little bit more space. Yeah, this is here the plug-in hybrid. Power mode. That is 50 to 100 kilometers an hour. Pretty quick. Here in this T8 plug-in hybrid, strongest version, 310 horsepower, 4.9 seconds, 0 to 100. And that's the combined power then of the combustion engine and the electric motor. Here in that power mode, you always have the power of both drivetrains, and usually you would just put the hybrid mode and let the car do its thing. You could also go in the pure mode, and then you are pure electric. You could also see it in the instruments, for example, if you have like this, as like a petrol drop, which is filled then. In the power mode, you also have a special RPM meter then on the right side, and on the motorway, for example, it also somewhat still makes sense to use the combustion engine long term. Of course, you can have both then. So here at 1 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, we do have the dual insulation here, so that's good that there's no disturbing wind noise or something. So dual insulation for front and rear windows, we feel that. Gotta say though, here the tarmac is kind of rough. That's why a lot of sound comes from underneath. But here the tarmac is now changing. Let's listen to that. It's interesting, right? Now it's already different. I have the feeling that, as I said, like wind noise wise, you hear nothing, but you hear quite some rolling noise from underneath in comparison. Yeah, but I think we can test it later also maybe on different tarmac situations. But here also this one should be a little bit less noisy. It is actually a little bit less than the bright tarmac than here. So I wouldn't say it's the most quiet from underneath, but it's very quiet like from this ear area around with the windows and so on. We have the setup here of air suspension. You feel it then when we have some waves, for example, it's evened out very well. However, we have 21-inch wheels there that look amazing. But of course, that reduces the comfort a little bit when you have some smaller potholes, that you feel that you don't have too much dampening from the tires. It was pretty cool that we can only deactivate with one click here on the left side of the steering wheel, that we can turn the speed chime EU law off, that you don't have this annoying effect. So it's easily done. And also here one click to turn on the cruise control. And there's also the active steering assist available if you like that. Let's see how it keeps us in the lane. Also when now the motorway is making a slight left bend, blind spot monitor very well integrated with this red kind of like boomerang in the side mirrors. So that's really, really nice. And here there are some corrections back and forth, but overall so far well done. The German assistance systems like Audi, BMW, Mercedes, they are a little bit smoother than as for the corrections here. But so far, so good then in this respect. You know that Volvo has always been strong in assistance systems and in safety. That was always also one of their unique selling points. And so far, this is also working very well. I'm really like the visualization of the blind spot monitor. That's larger than with most other manufacturers, actually. Gotta say though again, I'm not sure if Leah agrees that considering we have dual insulation, I would have believed that it's a little bit more silent in here, right?
It's louder.
Yeah, it's
too, yeah.
so
it's better in the city.
yeah, definitely. So motorway could be a little bit more silent. So definitely I would go for the dual insulation because otherwise it would be even a little bit louder. Good ergonomics from the seats, as we also know from Volvo, so it's also nice for long term and so on. And here on the Swedish motorway, this is also a typical speed. Now we're at 110 kilometers an hour because we cannot go faster like on the German Autobahn than here. So it's a good long way cruiser because of the comfort and so on, especially of the seat ergonomics. And with this new infotainment system, some things go quicker, it's more responsive, and it's also cool that we can use the Google Maps. Then again, changing the temperature while driving, you always have this two-click thing, you know. That's not the best. I still prefer the physical dials. At least we have one for the volume still here, you know. That's good to have that, definitely. Staying also in the hybrid mode, so let the car do its thing. You're not sure if one of our cameras catches once again the blind spot monitor. If you don't see it, it's like really like a red boomerang, which is actually pretty cool. So for the best comfort, I would stick with smaller wheels because 21-inch are already quite large, and then you have more pothole comfort, so to speak. But the air suspension, we do feel that it gives you this floaty ride. And it's really nice when you have some waves on the road here, especially on the motorway, that this is also evened out very well. That's actually pretty cool. When we're going downhill, I also see it in instruments, we have recharging, recuperation. And when I have set the Google Maps here, the internal Google Maps, I also see the Google Maps guidance here in the instruments. That's a very handy thing to do, so I can show you the driving modes here. And I have my maps here in my line of sight. I also see the head-up display. If you have the Google Maps via Apple CarPlay, you do not see them in the instruments, so that's why I also switched it then and use it with the car internal Google Maps. And of course, you don't use your smartphone data if that's any relevant for you, if you don't have unlimited data or something like that. And let's also drive here off the motorway. Here's also a road that is not so well done. We also have some speed humps here. And there you feel again this aspect that the 21-inch wheels, they reduce the comfort. Yet the air suspension is doing a good job, you know. So, and that's kind of like a contrary thing. I would maybe stick with 19-inch wheels. Then you have definitely more comfort. That would be something that definitely helps you. We also have some some rougher tarmac here in the potholes. Then you again feel this comfort loss due to the big wheels. But you can really control that, you know. If you think, hey, the sportier ride and the looks is more important to you, you can do it. If not, stick with the lower ones. What I find cool is that the steering is very precise and direct, so there's no dead zone area. Always there's something happening when you control the steering wheel. You don't have to steer too much, and it doesn't feel too unnatural. So sometimes we had the Volvo steering feels that were kind of like unnatural, but this one here feels sporty. At the same time, there's always like response, and it's a very likable experience from the steering. Actually better than recently in the XC90, for example. So it gives you a good controlled feeling of the car, and because it's at the same time also pretty light, it creates the feeling that the car would be smaller and lighter than it actually is. Oh, there are now like horses on the road. Gotta slow down here. When we're going down here, when I hit the brake, again the recuperation is working. I also see this recharge meter then in this case. And when we are stuck for that, when we're slowly driving here, then we are also driving all electric again, because plug-in drivetrain here uses the electric capacity first, and it feels really smooth, you know, like the transitions again, driving, braking. At least when you handle the throttle pedal very nicely, you can also change the recuperation here. I can also go to the B mode, and we have really strong one. It's like, yeah, that's the thing. Then you also have to be gentle with the throttle. It's almost like a one pedal driving here in the plug-in hybrid. That's very interesting. You rarely have that. That's very interesting. At the same time, when you hit the throttle a little bit harder, and that's also difference to when you maybe have the mild hybrid only, it's quite responsive also in the city. So that's the thing. The 2-liter 4-cylinder engine is not the like most responsive, greatest performance engine here. That's also not the main purpose of it. But when you have then especially the T8 here, when you have enough battery capacity left, also when you're going in some corners and so on, and you may be stopping at the traffic light and want to get going quickly again, it always has this instant response, like driving an electric vehicle. And that's also then the big advantage of the plug-in hybrid drivetrain, next to some tax benefits, of course, depending on where you live. In Germany, for example, it's very attractive to take the plug-in hybrids in comparison to pure combustion engines when you have when you have it as a company car, be it self-employed or also as an employee. So that gives you monthly tax benefits then in comparison to that. That's actually pretty cool. Another reason to go for this one here. Yeah, and of course, because you have the silent drive then here. So especially when we're here then a little bit in the woods, driving back and forth. So we don't have any local emissions, and it's also silent for us more when we drive, when we sit inside, but also silent when we pass on the road here, and maybe people sitting in their Sommerhuset or something like that in their summer houses. Well, it's a nice American vehicle setup here. So someone has some fable for American light trucks and motorcycles. Interesting. Yeah, actually, it feels light here driving through these forest roads here. And there also we don't have this this NVH problem we maybe had at the motorway earlier. And as I said, the likable steering helps us during that. More comfort than again you would have with the smaller wheels overall. In agile driving, how do you feel? It's fine?
Good, yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, good ergonomics from the seats and so on. And yeah, this is actually where this car also really fits here. Swedish forests, Swedish brand. This one here, of course, also
Best
made.
greetings.
Yeah, best greetings to all our fans from Sverige. So, you know, I can take a little Dansk. That's why the Swedish can also understand me when I talk Danish. Although, yeah, it's always a funny thing, like, you know, that people from Norway, Sweden and Denmark, they can understand each other even if they keep talking in their own language, because the languages are very related. Unlike the Finnish, which is not related language-wise. That's also another peculiar thing. Yeah, but also beautiful landscape here. I hope you enjoy also this driving part together with us. Prices start below 60,000 euros. In Germany and Northern American market prices are actually 10K lower in US dollars approximately. But you can also spec this one here, like with all-wheel drive and the T8 and some equipment on the inside, to like 80, even above that, closer to 90,000 euros. And then it gets really, really expensive. There again, the Northern American market prices are like 20K lower in the highest trim. So interesting price difference as for that. It's built here in Sweden in their heartland plant, so to speak. And the main question was, of course, the updates. Yeah, I mean, useful ones definitely. Looks a little bit fresher, more modern on the exterior. On the interior, also with the new seating choice, it's actually pretty cool. Update infotainment system that you get the Google Maps support, and also with the more modern screen. So that actually all makes sense. So I like the changes that they have done here. If you now compare to the German competition, this one here, of course, here this Swedish luxury, very beautiful with the matte wood on the inside and so on. Good ergonomics of the seats, and also still this classic SUV proportion with good space on the inside, especially in the trunk. They always have a big emphasis on that. Driving wise, the Germans of course drive more agile. That's actually no surprise, and they're a little bit more fun to drive. The Volvo is more like settled back, so to speak. However, the steering input is actually also quite precise, and also the competition is a little bit less noisy on the motorway, even though they have already improved NVH here and so on. So the main problem is that when you spec it really fully to the max, then it gets relatively expensive for what it offers. It's more the bestseller versions in the lower and mid-trim, for example, especially of course here then in Scandinavia, if you get good leasing rates and so on. And if you want to directly compare now the competitors, we have them for you right here.